Welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming. It's been a bit of a break since our last one. This is the 21st Twitter space that we've run, teaching relationship skills. Welcome. Thank you for coming. This is a place where we learn how to empower each other to become relationship experts and just level up our relationship skills. I'm Kimion Shahsadi, founder of Love Story Unicorns, where we're leveling up people's relationships. Here with me, we have Armand, and we have a special guest with us, with me right now, Omid Shahsadi, my brother from Australia. He's come all the way to Michigan with us, and he is here right now. I've also got my husband in the room. I've got my other brother in the room, and we have an awesome friend in the room. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to unpack a lot today. Our main topic today is major decisions in a relationship. How do we handle them? How do we go about it? How is it handled wrong? And a lot of the times it is handled wrong, so we can unpack all of that together. At any point, if you have any questions, feel free to request to speak. Unmute yourself, speak whenever you feel like. I feel like it's so much better when we talk with each other. We learn much better that way and hear different perspectives. We did just come back from Europe. That's why we were away for a few weeks. And it was just really interesting. Some things came up just between, my husband and I that are good points to just learn from. So, one really small thing that turned into something important, for example, for you guys to know in the audience listening is, so I was in charge of buying tickets. Oh, I see a request. Let me just first take the request so you can speak as well. Awesome. Just adding everyone to be able to be speakers. Awesome. Okay. Okay. All right. So one of the things was I was in charge of, figuring out the planes, the tickets, checking us into the flight, things like that. And I remember in the past when I did that, I thought I'd checked us in and I didn't get the QR code, and we got to the very front and I think we didn't have it. And then we had to go back and go to the little computer thing and print out the tickets. And that's something that kind of got my husband Armand a bit upset last time. So this time I thought I'm being so on top of it. Like, I'm pretty sure I've checked in properly. I have the QR code. But I emailed my husband with the tickets in case he wanted to print it out. And I wrote in the email, I'm like, if you want to print it out, feel free. And I just gave them that option. And I thought I was being super proactive. But he was really not happy with that email at all. I just want to give Armand the opportunity to speak, to just share his reaction that he had to that. If you can jump on, because I feel like it's so much better if you say it. I don't know if you can hear me. I'll give him a second. I don't know if he's able to navigate. All right. Well, oh wait, I see you on. Okay, see yours. Oh wait,
if we do need to print.
Wait, you just we couldn't hear you this whole time, and then if you just want to go now.
I just started,
okay.
Literally.
Okay, good.
I was really unhappy because it was just more work. It's if it's going to be electronic, then have it be electronic. If I need to print it out, fine. But this is what I don't remember. It was the night before. I'm just trying to finish up all my work stuff, and it's just an extra thing I got to do.
Yeah, and then so I got that reaction, and I was really shocked. And then it was, I was was it literally just writing the difference? So I gave him the option to print it if he wanted to or not. And it's if I had just written, please print it out, I would really appreciate it. That would have been such a different reaction. So sometimes you really don't know how the other person's perceiving something, even if you think you're doing a really good job. And on the other,
at least in that case, there wouldn't have been any ambiguity.
Yeah, exactly. So even with these tiny things, and you might have them in your relationship if you're in one, and you might have not been like Armand and never told me that was actually something that really bothered you, and then that would be bottling, and then you would get a buildup of things, and you'll have a big reaction, or come out in a different way. So it's really good that he communicated that to me, because now I know better. But honestly, you just got to learn how to navigate relationships with your partner in a way that they appreciate. So I had to improve in that situation because I didn't make the right call when I thought I did. Other things that came up on this trip that was really interesting was what we appreciate in holidays. We each appreciate really different things in holidays. So we kind of unpacked it on this trip. We traveled to Europe for the first time. I see one of my brothers up there for sure. So we went to Europe for the first time. We went to London, Paris, Santorini. We traveled, in this town that was a bit further away.
So we went to Luxembourg.
Yeah, we went to Luxembourg. We went to all sorts of places. We went to Metz, which was an hour and a half north of Paris, in a span of maybe 2.5 weeks or so. So there was a lot of traveling. And so for me, what I really appreciated was being able to go to some specific events that we wanted to go to. Family was a big thing. Really nice accommodation, in Santorini was so important to me, and that view. And Yeah, that was like literally like the crux of it that was important to me. And we realized that, my brothers and Armand had quite a different view on what they appreciate in holidays. So, Armand, I'll start with you. You can just share what you appreciate in a holiday that you learned on this trip.
I like doing things. Yeah, the whole let's just sit somewhere and I don't know, eat and be on a beach. I don't think it's for me. I'm not like the kind of person who wants every second of every day planned out or anything. But like I would like for there to be one or two things that were, planned or targeted to do for that day.
Yeah, that's so true. And like, he Armand started speaking up when we were in Santorini, and he was like, "This is like, what are we doing? Like, let's do something." And I was also a bit sick, so that didn't help. And yeah, so we went cliff jumping on like that first next day. Then the next day we went and got an ATV to the other side of the island, and then we went jet skiing, and we went on like, there was a black beach there, black sand beach. So yeah, and then we tried to do more activities, and then we were able to incorporate it. But if he hadn't said anything and he thought, "Oh, this is just what holidays are like," I would never know. I'm like really enjoying like the accommodation and like just not doing much. But he would be really upset. And so these things can go so hidden, and these things can build up. And a lot of people feel like they don't have the right to have a different opinion, or they just like think this is what holidays are meant to be like, and that's normal. And that's not true. You can appreciate anything you want in like a holiday or anything else, and your feelings are absolutely justified, and it's okay to feel anything you feel. I just want to give the floor to my brothers too, because they had also a whole different experience in what they appreciate in holidays. I'll start with my brother, Omid, who's like on this couch with me right now. Like, what you appreciate in holidays, and what was like not cool on this trip for you, or like, yeah, just what you like, what you don't like in holidays.
All right, I've been added to this locution. Okay, things that I enjoy on holidays. I enjoy spending time with people in one place. I don't really enjoy traveling all that much. Like things that you can do to build relationships, such as like play board games, watch movies, go to the pool. That's it. That's what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy.
Yeah, that's awesome. So he really appreciated like family and doing these things. And I remember when he told me that, I was like, but we can do those things at home. And he highlighted to me that, we all live in different places right now. Like, they live in Australia and I live here in the United States. And so we don't get to do these fun, normal things that we used to do, and how much that's valued now. So his feelings matter. We could be in Paris or, London, and it wouldn't matter. Like, he just wants to do these things that he really finds fun and enjoyable. And so like we incorporated Dungeons and Dragons and like watching some movies together and things like that into our trip. And we realized that we literally were traveling almost like every few days, like, or every second day somewhere, or every day sometimes. And that was a lot. And so now when we plan future trips, we can definitely take that into consideration. All these other people like appreciate all these different things different to me. And those are very valid things that we should consider when planning future holidays. So yeah, those were really huge learning curves. That was great to unpack. Mazda, are you there? I know you're a listener, but did you want to kind of speak on your experience of the holiday? Or I don't know if you're in a position where you can speak. Okay, so he's still a listener. But if you figure it out and want to speak, just accept that and just unmute and go ahead. Yeah, so that was one thing. And before we jump into our topic even more for today, hey, Wild Guardians, great to see you here. Our major topic today is major decisions, so we'll definitely dive into that in a second. But it's just been a few weeks, so just updating you guys with the things that we've kind of like learned in the last month. So I've really gotten into matchmaking lately because I specialize in finding helping people find love and keep love and recover from love when it goes wrong and everything like that. And so, now there's about 6 to 9 couples together that, have gotten together recently with my help. And one of the things I just wanted to reach out to you guys and tell you from their experiences is like these people, they get really specific with what they want, in terms of preferences, in terms of timelines of when they want major things in their life. And, they value their opinion and what they want. And it's okay to feel however you feel about that. And then going after that, hard. And that means that they face a lot of rejections in a very short period of time, and they feel very humiliated, and it's very hard. And every single human faces that too. That's a universal feeling we all share. And so they just speed run that and go through that very quickly, and they get to the other side a lot quicker. And I know one of the times that I ran a relationship workshop, one of the people there told me, after a relationship that he had, when he was in his very low 20s, he just got out of the game for 10 years. And after that workshop, that was like the first time that he wanted to get back out there again. And so that 10-year lag really can set you back for finding someone quickly. So definitely just know that if you, get really specific with what you want and you're putting yourself out there, it's definitely super hard at the beginning, but it's so worth it because you get to the other side much more quickly and you find quality that way. And the main thing is finding quality. Usually people just fall for the person that they see most frequently, usually in your workplace, usually where you went to school, and that doesn't necessarily mean quality. So that's just really good to keep in mind. It's not just you if you get rejection or if you're going after someone and you're looking for the things you want and, they're just not it, or, they don't like you back. That's also very common. It sucks, but please remember that all these people that have made it to the other side experienced all that quickly right after each other, and it was so painful, but they did make it to the other side. And one of the people I know, he said no pain, no gain, and that's so true. And then my brother added more to it. No pain, no gain, don't refrain. So keep that in mind, guys. Another thing that I wanted to jump in with right at the end. Let me just quickly read my notes. Another thing that happened, it's so important at the critical times in your relationship to get good advice from the right people. I can't stress that enough. For example, another person that I've helped, a lot of people were telling them that they're with the wrong person. This person's never left the United States. They found someone in a different country that were telling them, not to go. It's wrong for all these different reasons. But then, this person was really thoughtful and had found a good quality person and just never took that leap to go visit them. And then so they did. And then there was like a bit of just cultural difference, like a tiny bit of misunderstanding. And the person was, at the very edge and ready to jump ship and not sure what to do and so confused. And they reached out for help at that really critical point in time, which was so helpful. And they were able to work through it, get solid advice, figure out what they want, figure out what's super important, and then make the decision that they felt was best. And now they're so happy that they did that and everything's working out and super great. So take home message from that one is please get advice from a quality person that knows what they're saying at the times you need help. Don't feel like it's, unmanly or unwomanly to get help. It's always okay to get more information to help you make good decisions, especially with something that, is lifelong and can change the trajectory of your life. Like it's honestly millimeters sometimes that can make such a world of difference. So please keep that in mind. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. So today's topic is major decisions. My brother Omid, who's here with me right now, helped me decide this topic. So we're going to dive in. The main thing, yeah.
I think ask them if they can, and like, what would they consider a major decision?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a fair question. So my brother's saying, let's put it to the floor. What do you guys think is a major decision? If you had to I see there's no one is a speaker anyway. Everyone turned into a listener. But if anyone wants to speak up and just let's start even with saying what is a major decision, because people might have different views on that. Is anyone brave enough to come up and give their thoughts on major decisions? Yes, I see a hand. Let me accept you. 2 people. Oh my gosh, this is exciting.
Doubt at some point.
Oh, so good to know. Thank you.
So yeah, as far as what a major decision goes, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like major decisions, I guess, they impact both people. There are a lot of major decisions related to I guess, money, kids, where people, decide to live. I guess things that are hard to change once it happens. It's kind of hard to unhave a kid or to move places or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your input. Did you want to? I saw someone else came up. Better Call Zal. Would you like to input on what you think is a major decision or what major decisions are?
Yeah, sure. Before when I was gonna speak, Armand said most of the stuff I was gonna say, so I have to say something else now. But alas, I think a major decision, like he was saying, it's a decision that affects both people. It's usually one of those decisions where your background is very influenced by it. So one person's background might not apply to another person's background. So all of those opinions and perspectives, the places that they collide, those may be major decisions for that couple. So it's very situational, I feel like. But I feel like you were totally right on it by kids, location, stuff like that, where you have an opinion and it's a non-negotiable sometimes.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding that extra input on that. It was really, because everybody has their own background on something too, and they might not feel the same way because of the history they've gone through. So things can get really tough with major decisions. Omid wants to input here, and then I'll jump back.
Now, I'm just simply going to tell you this before we get into the nitty gritty, the thing that you've all been waiting for. This is what me and Gibbs believe major decisions. Let's see if you, the floor, the audience, whatever you call yourselves, hit the nail on the head.
Is this with our Reddit questions?
No, with the thing.
Yeah, with our questions. Okay.
With all this stuff.
Oh, with these stuff? Okay. Yes. Okay, we're going to jump right in. So the main thing that we want to convey to you guys to take away from this today's skill session is that the way that you convey the major decision can be a make or break in the relationship. So major decisions, they can break a relationship depending on how they are conveyed. And we'll give you examples right now so you can get a stronger understanding on this. So they can strengthen the bond of a relationship if you convey it well. And then if you don't convey it well, it could really also end a relationship. So super important skill to learn. So let's give an example. You have the next breakthrough in your job and you have to move. Okay, so that's like probably one of the most common things we can think of for a major decision. Some people may just they get the news. Wait, should we ask them?
Would they make the decision by themselves?
Okay. Right. So we can convey it with them, one person making this decision, the person who gets the job and has to move, or do you work as a team to resolve it? And, depending on how far in the relationship you are, you might choose differently. A lot of things can weigh into your decision. But it's really important what you end up deciding. So, on one end of the spectrum, you can say, what, you want me to ask them?
Go for it.
Okay. Before I tell you guys the answer, I want you guys to come up with what you think the good version and the bad version is. So what is a good version? No, do we start with bad?
No, okay. I'm gonna put it to you all. What do you think the right thing to do in this situation is? What do you think is the wrong thing? And how catastrophic do you think the consequences of each of the options are?
Okay, who's bold enough to try and take a guess at let's say you get a job and you have to move for this amazing job. It's a breakthrough opportunity. What's a good and bad way to communicate that? Who wants to take a guess? And we get a shy crowd.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yes.
I guess I could give it a stab.
Get up here, yes.
I personally think the way you convey it is super important because that is a major make or break. Because if you convey it as you're kind of making the decision on your own, I think that can lead to some animosity. But if you bring it to your partner as you make the decision together, you bring it to her, you're like, I really feel this way because of this, this, and this about my career, and you're kind of laying out the pros and cons, and you're kind of actually having a conversation about it. That would be the way I would go about it. Yeah.
Yes. So yes, definitely the conversation is a good way to go. Do you want to give an example of what a bad way to go about it is? If you were being the person that doesn't convey it well, how do you think you would do it?
You take the job and not tell the person. I'm not too keen. I don't know.
Yes, that's true.
You take the job and just ditch them and completely ghost them. That's probably the wrong decision.
That is probably the worst thing you can do. Absolutely, that definitely nail on the coffin on your relationship for sure. So yes, that's definitely the end of the spectrum. I love how you went there. And another version of this that some people might do is they might come home or after that call just be like, we're going to, I don't know, Washington. We're so excited. We're going, I got this job. We're going, pack up your stuff. Let's go. And, sometimes people can say that in the heat of the excitement, or maybe you think you've already had this conversation and you're both on the same page about it and you're not. So, there's the risk of that. And sometimes it's just a misunderstanding and, people are just not on the same page and they don't know. But definitely the much safer option that, conveys it well is you can totally be excited about getting this amazing job opportunity that's a breakthrough that will require you to move. And maybe you have kids and maybe they have to move too because of this. So it's fine to communicate excitement, but it's really important to ask, how they feel about it and where they're at. And then exactly like Zal said, have that conversation and figure it out together as a team. And I know someone that I spoke to in the last few days that was looking for someone, they said that, one of the most important things to them in a partner is trust. And then I asked them what trust means to them. And they said to them, trust means that someone will take them into consideration with everything they do, and they will do the same in return. And so I've never heard of that definition of trust before, but it was so important to understand that about that person and what they value. And so that is definitely the stuff that we're talking about is exactly what he's talking about with what he values, considering the other person and everything you do and giving them the option to share their opinion and take that into consideration and come to a decision together. That's really how teamwork is built and it becomes strong. And a lot of relationships is just like teamwork. And you have to figure out, obviously, if someone just makes the decisions without taking someone else's opinion into consideration, that's not very strong teamwork. And I feel like we just got to carry those things, that those basic simple principles that we learn from a young age, and still apply them to life now, with a partner. So let's do another one, just so we can kind of like make sure we've fully understood what conveying it well means. So let's say now this is another situation. And these are like, this is like a real life situation. So someone is getting a job interview to go work, like close to a mine. And so they'll be away for 2 weeks and then they'll be back for one. And so that's a huge lifestyle change. Just in the same way, like you can be like, hey, I'm just going to apply for it, um, you know, without talking to your partner. And if you get it, then have the conversation. Or you can talk to them before you apply, or you can say, hey, look, if I get the job opportunity, I'm not going to accept it. Like, we're going to make sure we come to a decision together. Even if it's a no, I can handle it, even if I have the job offer. But really, it's so important. And then on the other end of the spectrum, the person that is deciding if they want to, if they want that life partner for them. So they're not in a relationship yet, but they're really considering if they want to be together. That person needs to know if they can handle, having a partner that's away for 2 weeks at a time, potentially indefinitely until they retire, or depending on, when their partner wants to change jobs, because they're quite serious about it. And then the other option that, the other person is suggesting is, how about you come and work for a family business that we have that it's related to your job. And so this is a very tough conversation, that you need to have in a relationship really early on. Like, they're not even officially together yet, but there's some really big things at play. So, if I was helping this situation, one thing I would say is get really specific, for one person who's deciding if they can live with a partner that lives away 2 weeks at a time or so. Can they live with that? And I know, for people that work, that are veterans, like, this is a very serious thing that they need to know if they can handle or not and think about. And so the person that needs to be able to handle it, needs to make a decision, to see if they can handle it or not. So I see a request. I'm so excited. We're having someone come up to share their opinion, hopefully. Yeah, so that person needs to know if they can handle it or not. And then the other person needs to really think about if that person means more to them than their job or not. And if the person is really amazing, then maybe they need to consider not going to the work in the mines, because that person is more important to them. And they really need to work on it together. So even if you're in this situation where both people have their heels dug in on different ends of a spectrum for any major decision, if they value their partner enough, they will both find a way to work through it as a team. And if you guys don't work together as a team, it will show. Like, it will show in your relationship. Even if it doesn't show immediately, it'll show later on. And it's so important to address them as soon as it happens, and to, give people as much warning as possible, so you can have as many conversations as you need to get on the same page. Like Azal said earlier, like, if you accept the job and leave and then tell them, like, you're giving the other person very little time to even wrap their head around the situation and come on board. I know this is just a TV show, but I know in Emily in Paris, she got like a job opportunity, and she told her boyfriend like that night. And then the next scene was her the next day flying out to Paris. Like, that is not that is not okay. And he didn't even confirm if he was okay with it, or like what it would even look like, their relationship, or like, would he move there? Is it temporary? None of that was discussed. So please don't be like Emily. Just don't be like that. I see someone came up. I'd love to hear your opinion if you wanted to share something. Monologue, if you wanted to unmute yourself, go ahead. Well, I don't know if other people can hear them, but I can't hear them. Can you guys thumbs up if you can hear what the person's saying?
Can't hear
Okay,
them.
it's not just me. Okay, I see a thumbs up though on the monologue's end. No worries. If you want to speak up at any point and try again, feel free. You can try and be. Oh, I see a request. Maybe it'll work this time. Yes, welcome. Welcome if you want to say something.
I'm just 19. I don't have any girlfriend or wife, so I don't know anything about that.
Awesome, awesome. I could hear you, which is amazing. Yeah, that's what we're here for. Just learning these relationship skills, how to find amazing quality partners, how to keep them. And these things, as we will go through in our Reddit questions, can break people up from the very beginning all the way down to when you're married. So let's try and empower ourselves with giving good relationship advice to other people and ourselves with better knowledge. So remember, the key message for today is how you make major decisions is really important on how you convey it. Conveying is super important. Omi, did you want to say something?
Another thing that we're going to be teaching today is it's not about how much damage you can do. It's also major decisions can affect like long term, like the strengths and bonds that you make as well. How much you can trust each other moving forward.
Yeah, yeah. People don't talk about this, but trust is built over a long period of time across a lot of different situations. And absolutely, even with small decisions, but today we're talking about major decisions. So major decisions have so much weight in how trust is built. If you can get major decisions right with your partner and make them feel safe and secure and make sure you're both happy to move forward in the same direction, like you have no idea how much trust you're building by just doing that. It's really so huge. And the people that, you know, kind of don't take it that seriously or convey it wrong, like you do so much damage to your relationship in the trust department, and then it shows because then you might hear, like it might show in different ways. So someone might just make snarky comments like, oh, we're just going to get up and get up and leave again. If someone said that to their partner, they're definitely holding on to something, for example, and they didn't feel like it was like teamwork that made them get to the other side together. They felt like they were forced into the situation, and they're kind of like throwing jabs to communicate that they're upset, which is not a healthy way to communicate it. But it could show in so many different ways later on. So let's jump straight into our Reddit questions for the week. So this is a 36-year-old male and a 34-year-old female, and the subject line is, my partner and I got married, and a year later he admitted he doesn't want kids. Now he's backtracking, and I'm not sure whether to end it. And the bit of background we have is he started waffling after I said that we should split because we have different views. So this is another common one. The whole kids thing, people have different opinions on that. And yeah, it baffles me that they've gotten to this point and then they've changed their mind and they weren't on the same page at the very beginning. But that's a really hard one to, address. They're already married, they're 36 and 34. This is a major life decision to decide if you want kids or not. And it seems like it's so important that, the girl is thinking about splitting up with him if he's not on the same page. So, okay, Omi's like requesting the mic.
Zal seems to be the champion of the floor, so I want to see him answer.
Zal, do you want to come up? Do you feel bold enough?
I apologize, but I was doing something in the background. Can you repeat the question?
Of course, no worries at all. So, a 36-year-old male, 34-year-old female, they were married for a year. And then the guy admitted later that he doesn't want kids. And now he's backtracking and not sure if he wants to end it. And she's thinking about ending it too. Major decision about kids.
Whew. Well, does it say anything about her opinion? I assume she does want
Yep,
kids.
it seems like she for sure wants kids.
Yeah, well, they have to kind of sit down together and talk about if that's a boundary that they believe either of them is worth breaking for the sake of the relationship, and if both of their boundaries are so solid firm that they wouldn't change their beliefs. I think that kind of answers their question.
Yeah, yeah. Does anyone else? Oh, I see your request. I'm going to quickly accept. Awesome. Feel free to speak if you want to weigh in on this one. Monologue. Okay, I think he was maybe just jumping on to be able to hear us all. Okay, so this one is a huge one. And so with this one, please, I recommend everybody in the audience, you want to have this conversation. If you're someone that wants kids and it's a deal breaker, if, they don't want kids in return, please ask that at the very, very beginning. Don't be shy.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Is cuckolding is natural?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. What was that?
Is cuckolding is natural?
Oh, I don't know what gilding means.
Cuckolding.
Not cuckolding.
Oh, what's that?
I told you it's when another person is in the room. Like, domestic.
It's cheating.
Yeah.
Cheating? Wait, can you explain?
Cheating.
Oh, cheating.
Cheating.
Right. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. So yeah, for some people, cheating is a deal breaker, and that's a major decision if you want to stay with them or not. Absolutely, these are important life decisions you need to make. So for some people, they're willing to, they love their partner so much that no matter if they don't want kids, they will still be a team with them no matter what, or they'll figure out a compromise and maybe adopt, or maybe just give a bit more time until they can figure it out, or maybe they'll really get involved in maybe being aunts or uncles, or I don't know, just maybe volunteering in different ways to still get the thing that they need. Or if someone's cheated and they're willing to work on it and really, like, they feel horrible and they want to do everything they can to rebuild their trust, there's definitely a way to work together as a team to do that. But on the other hand, if you have a really deal breaker, it's important to know that as quickly as possible and make an informed decision. Arman, I see your hand.
Yeah, I interpreted the question to be asking, is cheating inevitable in a relationship or a
Oh, I
marriage?
see.
I mean,
It's definitely not inevitable. There are happily married people that have never cheated. Hand up, I see it. Armand, do you want to say something else?
no, I just screwed up with the UI.
Okay, all good, all good. So definitely there are happily married people that never cheat. So it's definitely not inevitable. Sal, I see your hand.
I'm not 100% sure if I'm right about this, but I think he's saying cuckolding, which I believe is a kink where you let someone else have sex with your partner while you're in the room. I don't know if it's necessarily just cheating. I think it's a little different. I think that's more along the polyamorous side of things where people are into that. So I don't know if people would consider that cheating, but I think that's what he's talking about, if I'm right.
Dude, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for clearing that up. My brother actually suggested it was that, but I wasn't even sure. So thank you. So if it is that, and it sounds like it is, you both have to have really be on the same page, especially with things like that, because it's such a slippery slope. It's very, very easy for boundaries to be crossed. But if you're really both on the same page, and at any point if you feel uncomfortable, you're both able to communicate that and respect each other's opinions and quickly pivot and adjust. So I think, in my opinion, it's possible to navigate that, but it's just a lot of people can fail in that because it's so easy to slip up if you're not so great at communicating, both of you, and being so honest and just knowing yourselves really well and the boundaries. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of things at play that you need to be aware of. I don't think it's impossible. So yeah, if that's the question, it's possible, but just be super careful and talk about every possible thing that you can think of before, so you can be on the same page and always be ready to if someone's opinion changes, that's okay. Just you got to quickly adjust and make sure that your teammate is feeling supported and loved, and that's the most important thing. So that's how I would answer that one. If you have any other questions, also anyone in the room, this is what we're here for. Feel free to unmute or request to speak, because I'm trying to provide you as much relationship skills as I can. So I'm more than happy to answer targeted questions that would be useful. So yes, so that would be a huge one that you need to figure out. Is the person that you're with more important than you wanting all these other things, and can you work together as a team to provide it and still work as a team, not just saying I need to have this. It's a very different approach. So let's try another one. This one is a little complicated in a different way. So it's a 30-year-old male and a 27-year-old female. So guy I was seeing got angry when I told him I was planning a breast reduction surgery. So we have a little more background on this, which is good. So this one, the story is I've only recently made dating a priority, so I'm really relatively inexperienced. I was seeing someone, met through Tinder, and thought it was going really well. We had gone on a couple of dates and slept together. Then last time we met up, I mentioned offhand, that I am having a breast reduction later this year. He got really angry, claiming that he wouldn't have wasted time with me if he knew he would have stopped replying to my texts. Now I'm unsure whether I was in the wrong not to mention it earlier, as I thought it was quite a personal decision. When you start dating someone, is this sort of information you would expect to be made aware of? So this is an interesting one. So they're just dating. They've gone on a few dates. They've slept together. And she mentions she wants breast reduction surgery. And he starts freaking out. And now she's not sure if she should have mentioned it sooner, or where do you stand with that? This is a really interesting one. Who wants to just share their opinion on this one?
We can chime in for a second. I think it's perfectly okay with him to want to break up with her because, he wants a woman with large breasts. People have things that they prefer in a partner, and yeah, I think that's okay. As weird and potentially shallow as it may sound, people like what they like. As far as when she should tell someone about it, I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? I wouldn't want to say, hello, my name is Armand. By the way, I'm having a breast reduction surgery. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like they were together for that long, so I think it was fine. I don't know.
Thank you for so much for sharing. I saw someone else came up to be a speaker, Stereo to my two. Do you want to share your opinion on this one?
Thank you for the offer, but not just yet.
No worries at all. No worries at all. I appreciate you coming up to be a speaker, though. So this one, it touches on a lot of different things, and we can have very strong reactions to this story when we hear it. So how I was thinking about this one, and if this person came to me for advice, like what would I say, or along the story, like what would I do? So I think it's really important in this one that to make a distinction if it was she was just thinking of him as a fling, or if she was really considering this person in the long term and was considering this person as a life partner. So if you're not taking them seriously, then the normal rules don't apply. You just have to be on the same page with whatever you are agreeing to. If you are looking for a life partner, and a breast reduction surgery is something that's important to you, then communicating that as quickly as possible is something I would suggest. Because if someone's you wouldn't think someone wouldn't be okay with it, but like there are people, I guess, that wouldn't be okay with it. So you want to have that conversation as soon as possible, because you're spending so much time and energy and creating memories with this person, and it's much harder to just have it finish if you've been with them for so long. So get it out of the way as quickly as possible. And so I would say, probably breast reduction surgery. Surgery is kind of like a major thing. So I would say share that as quickly as possible if you are considering a life partner. And you want them, ideally to be supportive and kind to you. And, but if they do want different preferences and that is something that's really going to upset them for some reason, you want to know that as quickly as possible. So definitely, it's so easy to hide things, because we think they're private, or for all sorts of reasons we can come up with, or we really want this for ourselves. But it's so important to not hide it and share it as quickly as possible and be on the same page. Because I'm sure, like, if he was super supportive with her breast reduction surgery, she would have felt so much more connected to him, and the trust would have, built up so much more, and it just would have been on the same page, which is like strengthening that bond rather than breaking it. So really important to mention it. She did nothing wrong with mentioning it, and he just shared that he feels super strongly about this, and he's better off with someone else. So this was an unexpected one. Like, you wouldn't think someone would leave like that, but you just never know. That's why it's always good to share everything that's important to you and get the opinion of the other person. Don't be scared of rejection. It's you would so rather know that up front than later down the line. Like the previous example was with wanting kids. You would so rather want to know, like, first date in, or first few dates in, than like 1 year after marriage, which is now so hard to kind of manage and navigate. So definitely keep that in mind. Much better to get it out than keep it in. Another one I want to throw at you guys from another Reddit question. So it's a male in their 20s and a female in their 20s. Would you share with your significant other if you got fired from your job? And the background that it gives a little bit is, would your answer be different if you were laid off? And then it says, I was fired before from my job, and never told her because it was early on in the dating amongst us, and I didn't want to come off a certain way. So opinions on sharing about being fired or not. Who wants to who has an opinion about this one that they want to come up and say or speak on? Omi, do you want to weigh in on this one?
What?
You want to weigh in on this one? So being fired, do you share that? You're like just dating someone and you get fired, or is it different if you get laid off? What do you think?
You know what? Sure.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Personally, I believe in honesty, so I would share it, because when you're in that relationship, right, it's not like you're never going to find another job. So
Yeah.
you might as well tell her and convey honesty, because honesty is the best first step that you can take. And it can mean so much if you start it off with you being vulnerable and going, I just lost my job, you have to understand. And then it might make her feel more empowered, because she becomes the sole provider temporarily while you get your feet. Yeah, you get yourself. So yeah, it can go both ways. Like, they could finish it there, in which case you know she wasn't the one for you, or you trust her, you put your heart on the line, and she could. Yeah. Well, that's my opinion anyway. I don't know how you, the floor, are going to react.
Yeah. Does anyone else want to speak up on their opinion on this? Yes, I see someone requesting this.
Yeah, I've got a point.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, I was on a train and there was like so many loud people, and then like the sound kept cutting out when we went under tunnel, so I was a bit scared to speak up. But yeah, I think from this one, you kind of have to fully accept it. Like, if you're gonna say it, you need to not own it, to be honest, and like it takes some emotional maturity. Because like if you bring it up and then like they attack you a little bit, and then you get super defensive and attack back, and like it can like spiral really downwards, and like you only thought of me because of the job, and I don't know, some other stuff. So you got to really, I think you got to accept it and have emotional maturity if you do decide to bring it up. But I think in the long run, it is probably better to bring it up just so it's transparent. But an important thing is to own it and not blame other people for that stuff, and like build from there. Like it's fine if you lose your job, if you've got like a positive plan to like, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm working on. I've still got like a good, healthy growth mindset and stuff. But yeah, just be transparent and own it if you're gonna say it. And better to be honest than to hide it, to be honest.
Yes, yes. So all like great information from both of you. I wanna ask you guys because some people hide it, and it's like it's much easier to hide it than be vulnerable and tell the truth and admit that like this thing happened even if it wasn't your fault or it was your fault that you got fired. So, question for you, Magda, since we have you up, what do you think would happen if you kept it a secret? Let's say you chose the easy option, not to say for whatever reason you thought they wouldn't accept you or that it was just better you don't say it. What do you think would be the consequences of you not saying it? Like, what are some ideas you have of what could happen?
Yeah, thinking about it, you would probably have to hide it a lot more. I know you would have to like fake going out, so there's like a big effort toll and like pretending, and then like stress also of trying to hide it. So yeah, it seems like there's like a big battle you coming up with. Yeah, it's just gonna make it worse. And then it's like they'll find out eventually, maybe. And then it's like you've been lying to me for so long or something. So yeah, thinking about it, it's a big toll. It's a lot of stress. You gotta kind of hide it, and yeah, I don't know, it's not the best thinking about it.
Yeah, yeah. You thought of some things I didn't even think of. I didn't even realize that you had to fake going to work if you want to really like pretend you're doing that. Yeah, the ones that came to mind for me is like this was it was a more subtle one that it came to mind. If you lie to someone about something like this, you're more on edge, and you might be really worried. Maybe you're trying to find another job, or you need to come up with like a story of how you got another job, or whatever it is. But I think you would be much more stressed out, and so or maybe you don't respond to your partner as quickly, and then they think it's something that they've done, or you just don't feel like going out anymore, or whatever it is, however that it takes a toll on you, and however taking a lie takes a toll on you. So it could show it up in all of these subtle ways where you take longer to respond, you don't feel like doing anything, or you look like really shady and they think you're like lying about something else, and it's only about your job. And so it can ruin your relationship in a lot of different ways that you don't even think of. And so they might be okay with you losing your job, but then they're not okay with not you not responding to them, or I don't know, they might build up a whole story for why they'll be like, oh, he just doesn't like me anymore, she doesn't like me anymore, what did I do wrong? Or like, just I don't know, you can just create so much stories, and it just spirals out of nowhere for the wrong reasons. So that's kind of where my head was going. But yeah, you also have to fake going to work, which is something very real. So yeah, the really good insights. So be transparent. A lot of these conversations are hard, and usually I tell people to do things that the advice is to do the hard things in the short term for the happier life in the long term, which is the rest of your life. And a lot of the times, if someone can't handle your vulnerability or your honesty, you're not with the right person, or they're not a high enough quality person to be with you. And a lot of things you can work through together. I know on Reddit questions, a lot of them are just like break up, or they're not worth it, or things like that. But a lot of things, it's just a misunderstanding. And a thing that I emphasize to everyone is people can have different definitions of words mean, and nobody really talks about that. But whenever I ask people what they want, or what's important to them, like love or trust or like anything that they say, even with Armand, my husband, when we talk, it's something that we constantly have to define what words mean, because everyone can have a different definition on what a word means. Just like in the earlier conversation we had today about trust, someone had a completely different definition of trust than what someone else would have. So yeah, you guys, it's so common to be fighting about something that you're miscommunicating about than actually something you have a strong difference on. So keep that in mind. One of the things that Armand and I right now are working through is every night we used to have 1 hour a night where we used to hang out and usually watch like a TV show together. And, one day I would pick the TV show and one day he would pick the TV show. And, we got to a point where he really wanted to change it up. He didn't like it. I was usually late. It was usually between 11 p.m. and 12 p.m. Well, 12 a.m. Sorry. And I would usually be late because I'm like, I find it hard to stick to timings like that. Like something important would come up and then he would kind of feel disrespected by that, which is totally fair. And so, now we're changing it up, and, he doesn't like watching TV shows as much as I do. And I find that super enjoyable. So now we're like really like working together trying to work together as a team to figure out like, we're trying this whole flexible thing where we just spend time together at different points in the day, and then we still maybe watch some TV shows sometimes, or he loves reading, so now we're doing that. But we're just trying to navigate to get that together and figure it out, and that's okay. It's going to be a bit hard for me to adjust to a whole new system, and compromise. And so I think he said, I really appreciate flexibility. And I said, what do you mean by flexibility? And I remember his answer was not what I expected at all. So it's really important to make sure you understand what the other person values, and even ask them what that word means to them, because usually we have a different meaning for words than other people do. So keep that in mind. One last question for the day, for the Reddit question to practice sharing major decisions in a good way. Homie, do you want to say something?
Yeah.
Yep.
As the special guest for this week, don't worry, I have something super special planned just before we close.
Okay, that's exciting. I don't even know what it is. Okay, so last Reddit question of the day. So it's a 32-year-old female and a 34-year-old male, and the subject line is, wife's intellectual prowess is denting my self-esteem. Should I compete or communicate? And they do give us a little bit of background on this one. The little bit of background is, my wife is an intelligent and talented woman who outsmarts me. It's pretty much every field you can think of, from general culture to news to politics to maths. So I can't click the rest of it. There is more, but it seems like they've deleted the Reddit questions. I'm sorry, you guys. But yeah, do you compete? Do you communicate? Like, where do you go from here? What's your opinion on feeling like that? Who wants to step up on this one? If you were giving advice to someone that came to you with this situation. Yes, Mister, come up.
Yeah, dude, I would like absorb it. Like that's super awesome that you found someone who's like really smart and stuff. I would maybe just listen up for the things that I care about. Like I think they mentioned culture, politics, all this stuff. There might be a few of those ones I might be interested in, and then I might ask questions to learn more, or what resources do they use to learn that. So I would like choose the things that I'm interested in, and maybe ask questions about that and learn how they got to that stage of being smart at that. I would also, yeah, communication, bro. Like everyone has their different strengths. Maybe some people are very intellectual, some people are just like really good with their hands or very determined. And I think it doesn't put you down if you can't match that. You've probably got your own strengths, and like it's complementing each other. Like if you're both super smart, you're not really getting the most out of it. Whereas you can like learn other skills, and that way you've got like best of both worlds. So I think we'll definitely communicate and be like, this is kind of where I am. This is my education. I'm interested in these topics. What can you teach me about these? I'm interested in that, and maybe trying to let them know how you feel. Maybe you feel put down if they um, flex their intellectual muscles or something, or just make them aware of it. Maybe they weren't. They just don't know how it makes you feel, or yeah, I think having an honest conversation and trying to make the most of the situation. So I don't know. Those are some of the thoughts that come to mind.
Yeah, great perspectives. I see your hand up. Stereo to my two. Weigh in.
Yeah, so I have to agree with Mr. Magic Man. It's not a bad problem to have in a lot of ways. And I would say, I guess, this person was asking, should I compete or should I communicate? And I think maybe a distinction that can be drawn is competing playfully as opposed to competing as a kind of acting out, right? I'm not happy with you right now, so I'm going to try to compete with you, but it's not going to be fun and we're not going to talk about it. That's not good. That's not good. If you can compete playfully, if you can compete in a way that's enjoyable for both of you, then yeah, absolutely. And the last thing I want to say is, if I was talking to this person, I think I would be listening to try and understand, is there some way here that you feel like you don't have enough to offer, right? Are you feeling insecure about what you bring to the table? And if so, maybe that's a place to start as far as communicating. Maybe this is someone that would benefit from being able to talk with their partner about ways that the partner values them, right? You may be more well read than me, maybe more, I don't know, book smart than me. I'm skeptical of just smart as a blanket term, right? There's lots of different ways that people. It's a little bit of a cliche, maybe it's a little trite to say, but there's lots of ways people can be smart. But yeah, so maybe that's what it's about. That's kind of my first impression. Is this person insecure about what they're offering? So affirmation, right? Are there ways that the partner can express how they're valuing this person in the relationship, and maybe that would help. All right, thanks.
Great advice. Yes, so many great points you brought up, and even the playful competing, as long as it's great, and they're both coming from a good place, and hopefully they've communicated about it first. But yeah, that's definitely a good approach too, and figuring out, having that conversation and figuring out what's at play here. And I really liked how both of you took the perspective of, this could be seen as a really good thing that you can learn from, and and that's just a perspective shift that someone can have talking to someone else and being like, oh wow, like this is really cool. Something that I would add to take it to the next level is communicating. So the person that's feeling the intellectual prowess is denting their self-esteem. So that person, for them to be able to communicate specifically what makes them feel like that, because I can bet, I don't know, I would have a strong kind of feeling that the person with the intellectual prowess has no idea what in their behavior or words is causing them to feel like that. And I think it would be kind of an eye-opening conversation to see what specifically. And I have noticed that when a lot of people argue, they don't talk about specifically what behavior or words upset them, and they're talking about general ideas that they're arguing about. And so in any situation, it's always really, really great to get so specific with exactly what words or what actions make you feel like that. And then once you're both on the same page with that, you can figure out how to move forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the person also thinks that they are really good at something that they don't even know about. Like maybe they're just so good at, I don't know, physical stuff, and just being super healthy and having great. What do you say?
Lobbying.
What?
Lobbying.
Yeah, being great at lobbying, like all these different things. You have no idea, and honestly, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and so is talent. So definitely have that conversation, and if it's a self-esteem thing, figuring out where that's coming from. Maybe they just went through. Maybe they were just fired, and they're a bit more vulnerable now than they were otherwise, and maybe usually they wouldn't feel like their self-esteem was getting hurt, but now it is. And how can they, like, because it's about them, it's not about the other person, it's about the person whose self-esteem is getting hurt here. So this really hits on the point of someone is upset in this situation, and one of the skills I teach in these classes that I've taught in the past is when someone is upset, you need to very quickly communicate to your partner whenever you feel upset, even a little bit, and be able to communicate what you want in return to feel better. Even if you don't know what you need to feel better about the situation, it's really important to communicate you're still even a little bit upset, because it gives the other person the opportunity to also try and figure out what could help make the situation better, make you feel better. And as humans, our default when someone tells us that we've done something that's upset them is to get defensive and attack back and say, well, you're upset about this. Well, I'm upset about this. And then both people are just arguing. No one is really trying to solve the problem. You both feel like the victim in the situation, and it doesn't really get anywhere. And a lot of people get trapped in that cycle. And so, one of a great rule of thumb to address that differently and resolve situations much quicker is to be able to figure out who got upset first and communicated it. So the person that got upset first in this situation, it would be the person that got upset with a comment or behavior that was made about the intellectual prowess and felt bad about it, and needs to communicate that. When you, I don't know, corrected my spelling, I felt, I don't know, I felt really bad. I didn't feel like I was intelligent compared to you, and I felt like you were really judging me. And yeah, I feel really insecure right now. A lot of people don't say that. They just feel it, and they be like, maybe they feel unjustified for even having that feeling. And they don't communicate it, but it's really important to communicate it. So just speak your mind. If you're upset, say it. And then the other person's role, hearing that maybe they don't agree with you, maybe they don't think that correcting your spelling is something that should make you feel insecure, but it's not about them. It's about the person that got upset. And because you're a team and you care about your partner, they got upset first. It doesn't really matter why they got upset, they got upset. And you need to kind of figure out what they need to feel better about the situation. And then once they feel better about the situation, if you're still upset about something, then you can bring it up. And now they've calmed down to a point where they can now address your issue and try and figure out what you need to feel better. And sometimes it's not a specific thing that you need to feel better, like as in that you need to receive or an action that needs to be put in place. Sometimes it's just listening and giving the person a hug and saying, I hear you. Thank you for sharing. I'll keep that in mind. Sometimes it is that simple, and it just feels like you feel so much lighter when you get it out, and the other person understands you better as a person when you're able to communicate these things. And a lot of people's issues is they don't address these things, and it builds up. and then they have a big reaction afterwards, or they can cheat, or there's all sorts of ways they can make snarky comments, talk bad about their partner behind the person's back, communicate that to the kids and make them the middle person. There's so many different ways this can show. Or the person can just get more and more inside their shell, close off from people, feel more depressed or sad, or all sorts of things, or maybe feel like they need an outlet, or they go towards drinking more, or whatever it is. So it's so important to address it as quickly as possible whenever you feel like you're upset about something, or annoyed, or someone makes you feel embarrassed, or and don't feel like you need a really good reason to feel however you feel. It's okay to feel however you feel. Communicate that, and someone who's really great and high quality and is the right person for you can handle the things that you're feeling, and can comfort you and make you feel better, and do the thing that's going to make you feel more loved, like a great teammate would, and you would do the same thing in return. And so that's a lot of what I teach people. I just try and figure out what is upsetting people, and then be able to have those honest conversations and really get to the heart of what is needed to resolve things. A lot of people just get caught in the cycle of arguing. So rule of thumb, who got upset first, that's one to keep in mind. And with major decisions, which was the topic for today, really remember how you convey it is so important for building trust and building a really strong relationship in your teamwork, in your marriage or relationship, or whatever stage you're at. It's a really positive thing. I see Omid is reaching out for the phone. He's got his special surprise, I guess.
Well, special surprise number one. We have filled you with multiple iterations, variations, whatever you want to call them, of major decisions. And do you have any of you, do you have any major decisions that you want to get clarification on or ask us while we're still available?
That's a great point. Yeah, we're here if you guys need anything, or if there's anything that's been in the past where you don't know if you should have said it or not, or anything coming up in the future. The floor is yours. If anyone wants to put their hand up and speak, you're welcome.
Okay, no one has the confidence.
Or maybe no one just has any major life decisions.
Good cop, bad cop here. All right. Now for my second surprise, since I might not show up as a guest.
Do you have any questions to ask everyone else for advice?
Oh.
Me? Or the other person, the other host?
We'll ask Arman. Arman, what was your question again? Oh, wait, we see a request. Let me accept. Okay, we see a new speaker. I don't know if they wanted to. Did you have a question for us, Monologue? Okay, maybe he's saying that. Oh, wait. Yep.
To ask that is penis size effect in relationship. I have insecurities about it.
I heard, does penis size affect a relationship? And so I would say there are probably people in this world where it does affect. And it's important to figure out if the person that you want to be with, if it's important to them or not. And people can have all sorts of preferences. Maybe you might think the society's preference is the bigger the better, but it's not for everyone. Honestly, there are some people I know that prefer smaller. So there's all sorts of different variations of what people prefer. And so it's important to have that conversation as quickly as possible, to just, if it is something important, you want to know quite quickly, because, you don't want to be left for something like that afterwards if it's something that's really important to them. So it's not something that's important to everyone, but definitely there might be some people it's very important to. So just in case you got one of those people, it's good to have that conversation and figure out that you're with the right person, that you're, happy to be with you. And that's really important. So definitely. Arman, did you have a question for us? What did you ask Omid? I didn't see him unmuting. Okay. I think maybe he was asking you a question. If you
No question from my end. It's just, he asked if anyone wanted advice from him. And I was like, oh yeah, you want advice from anyone else?
I see. I got you.
Turning it back on him.
I got you. Perfect. All right, for your second surprise, or if you want to say something.
My second surprise is the MVFP.
What's that?
The most valuable floor manager. And that award goes to the person who spoke up against me, Armani Biryani, or the Armand Master himself.
Oh, that's pretty cool. We should have MVPs for
MV.
What'd you say?
MVF.
MVFP.
MVFM.
Okay, MVFMs. We should have MVFMs, so we celebrate the person that contributed a lot. So we appreciate you, Armand. Thank you for coming and sharing your opinions with us.
That makes Armand the most valuable floor manager this week.
That's awesome. Armand, do you have any words you want to share with anyone to accept your award?
Yeah, your 1 minute of fame.
No, nothing to share from my end.
Humble as always.
All good. Well, thank you all so much for coming out. I'll just give you guys a moment. If you had any questions about anything to do with love or relationships, anything at all, this would be a great time to ask. I'm here to answer anyone's questions. I'll just give you guys a few seconds. If you guys have a question, put your hand up or unmute. More than happy to answer them. Until next week. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being
So
here.
what's the biggest life decision you faced, and how did you deal with it?
Oh my gosh. Who are you
Let's
asking?
go, Armand.
You, the big
Me.
boss,
Oh my
Uno
gosh.
reverse card.
the CEO of Love Story Unicorns.
Oh my god.
Do you practice what you preach?
I do practice what I preach. Mazda's reverse card was hilarious. That got me. It's an Uno reverse card. My biggest life decision was getting married. It was my biggest dream come true to, marry an amazing person, and I had a lot of requirements for what I wanted. And yeah, it was my biggest wish come true. I married the love of my life. I'm super happy that I picked right, and I picked a high quality person that matched my preferences and things like that. It was really hard for me. Something that we were different on that took a lot out of both of us was our timelines for marriage were different. 6 months into our relationship, I was ready to get married, and I was 21 and he was 20, and we were really young, and we were also lived on opposite sides of the world. I lived in Melbourne, Australia, and he lived in I think at the time in Austin, Texas. And yeah, we had to find a way to make that work. And he really and I had told him from the beginning that if he didn't see a future with me, that he should break up with me and not waste my time. And that was something that he was really anxious about, because he wanted to make sure he wasn't wasting my time. And he took and a lot of his friends were also single, and his parents were like, get married after you finish your PhD, and there's no rush and things like that.
I wasted a lot of time not wanting to waste her time.
Yeah, I know. Mazda,
It was a big time waste not wasting your time.
It is. Mr. Magic Man, did you want to say something?
Yeah. So that's a big decision. So deciding to marry Armand, what was the reasoning behind it? I think that was another question he asked.
Oh,
What was that big thing that was like, oh, Armand's the one? What was that special thing?
And did size have anything to do with it?
Oh my gosh, size didn't have anything to do with it. But I did.
Tell the truth. Fake news.
No, for me it is the truth. But but I know for me, I actually wrote down a bunch of preferences that I had in a partner, and I literally was scoring people off it. And so yeah, I kind of figured out what's really important to me. What does my partner need to have? And I actually wrote it down, and I would score people like I wasn't messing around. And so I've just really developed that and made it much more sophisticated now and detailed. And that's what I use actually to match people as well. So I've started to become a matchmaker as well, but that's kind of where it came out of. And I remember a lot of the guys that I was measuring were probably around the 60s, top 70s from memory. And Armand's from memory scored a 97. So I was like, this guy is really high quality.
I scored an 81.
He didn't. I know till this day he thinks he did, but we have to go back to Australia and we have to find my criteria sheet, and I have to prove to him it was a 97. So yes, I can let you guys know on a Twitter space once we find that piece of paper that proves what I was thinking. I don't know, 9 years ago now. But yeah, I had a very scientific approach to make sure that I made a really good decision. And to this day, I'm really happy I did that. So yeah, I don't know if you have any other questions about this. I know Omi's trying to say something.
Yeah, he was just the highest statted character. You looked at all the other characters in games with different items and stuff, and dude, that dude, he's got the highest stats. I choose him.
Yep. And whatever's important to you, it's okay. But you got to know what you want so you can get it. And your brain filters your environment already without you trying once you get really specific with what you want. So usually I recommend people's timelines to also be the same, so you guys don't have to go through what we did. He ended up proposing at 2.5 years. So I had to compromise for about 2 years, but in the long run, he was really high quality, so it was worth it for me. And yeah, that's how we worked together to make that major decision of when we get married. And it wasn't easy. It was really, really hard. We cried so much and we did long distance for so long, but it was worth it because we had a really high, we both found a really high quality person that matched us really well. So yeah, does anyone else have any questions?
And we both had a thing for crying, so that really helped a lot.
Yeah, I know. There was crying at our proposal on both ends. So.
We got a unique request from the audience. Omid S wanted me to especially say he likes long walks on the beach. He likes dinner by moonlight candle. So
Thank you so much. You need to be way more specific than that to know your preferences.
I don't know. I mean, S just sent me a message with all those details and told me to say it.
So it's a good starting point, but nowhere near enough how detailed you need to be with what you want. With that, if there's no other questions, we'll wrap up for today, and we'll be here next week with a new relationship skill. And honestly, it's made me so happy to see you all here. And yeah, see you next week. And a new MVFP for next week. Mazda, go ahead. I saw you unmuted.
I was gonna say congratulations, Arwen. You won, dude. You won this session. I don't know, like some people learn things. You just won the session, dude. Well played. And then yeah, good job for Omid popping on. It was good to hear your thoughts, and thanks for crafting this session. It was pretty good. And yeah, it was nice to talk with everyone and learn some stuff.
Thank you so much, Master. I really appreciate you. I wish you all the love life of your dreams, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day, guys. Bye.